our channel, LifeSnapShot. Evelyn, Greg, Muttley here from Australia. Appreciate everybody dropping by. Look, I just want to do a quick follow-up video about the last one I did about housing and what I think and what the problems we have. And a couple of people made some comments, and I would love to personally reply to those comments, because this is what this channel, I wanted it to be like. I want people to talk. I want people to know there's a place you can go to and you can agree to disagree. You can flat out say I'm wrong and discuss and chat and comment, do whatever you want to do without feeling uncomfortable. I really believe that debate in this country has fizzled out to virtually nothing, and people are just afraid to debate or disagree even about something in fear of being shot down or called something, and that's what this channel mainly is all about, is that if you want to say something, you will not get shot down. I will keep the comment up, happy whether you disagree or agree with me, and 9 times out of 10 I'll make an effort to respond. So we're going to get into it, and I'm going to show you 2 comments, and I'm going to do my best to answer them the way I feel, what I think. Here we go. MD 85 AUS 94, obviously an Australian. Cheers, thanks very much for your comment. The only point I disagree with is the foreign investment. If the government decides it's going to flip the table and pull all the levers at once, why isn't foreign investment one of them? And at the same time, I'm seeing videos explaining major investment groups from overseas can build to rent here in Australia and pay half of the tax Australians, and can set rents above the average. And at the same time, everyone's going off about Airbnbs when they have even less of an impact on housing. Okay, I'm just going to try and read your mind here, okay? So just bear with me if I answer it incorrectly, because I've just sort of misunderstanding what you're trying to say here. Forgive me, and please leave another comment. Happy to hear, to know what you're trying to get across, but I'll answer it as best as I can. But if the government decides it's going to flip the table and pull all the levers at once, I bet you're bang on there. They will do anything to make themselves look good, but won't fix the problem. So that's a good point. Pull all the levers at once. God help us if that happens. Why isn't foreign investment one of them? Now, I want to say that you're right. Foreign investment should be looked at, but not the amount of foreign investments. I said this in the video that you commented on. Foreign investment for me, I feel, is a good thing as long as it's managed, okay? And if you do the stats and you look at this of the percentage foreign investment has on actual housing market, it's very, very small, extremely small. We also need overseas investments. Everything in this country has overseas investment. Let's face it, from the major things like oil, farming, agricultural, to just businesses in general, we do have a overseas investment part that helps our country. Now, as for the tax, and you said that here, that pay half the tax of Australians, that should not be. You 100%. They need to be actually taxed more, or definitely the same. I don't know of any statistics. Please leave them in the comments if you can give me some website or something like that. I would like to dig deeper into this to know the true facts. But when it comes to multi-billion or million-dollar companies investing in Australia, they need to have some sort of tax deal implemented, but definitely not anything that is not benefiting the Australian taxpayer. Okay, for sure, 100%. And yes, you're probably right, that is going behind closed doors. God knows what these governments do. I'm not just having a shot at the present government, Labor. Liberal definitely would have done the same. But yeah, and what else? And can set rents above the average. Everybody's doing that. Okay, be it an overseas investor, be it a mum and dad who's lived in this country for 70 plus years and just has one investment property. We are all trying to get that extra little bit out of where we can to balance out the costs of living. Unfortunately, renters are the pincushion, and you're not going to see anybody, regardless of who they are, that has an investment property reducing the rent, especially when the cost of living is going up, their insurance is going up. Unfortunately, I'd love to give you a fix this problem situation for the renters, but it's not going to be like that. They're always going to be at the bottom of the ladder when it comes to who suffers the most. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. It's just, I'm trying to keep it real here. You know, as for setting it above the average, yeah, it happens. And the window of a renter just being able to say, well, this house is costing too much, and then going to another house that the rent's cheaper, that window is closing fast. There is nowhere really, renters are stuck. Sorry to give you the reality of the situation. And moving on, and at the same time, everyone's going off about Airbnbs when they have even less of an impact on housing. I agree with you 100% here, and I'll tell you why. There's a couple of reasons why people do Airbnbs. One is maybe it's in a good area for Airbnbs. It's a tourist area, and they make a hell of a lot more money than a rent, and they only have to rent it out for, say, a summer or a winter, and they make more money than a whole year of someone being in there. Less damage to the house, less wear and tear. So there's benefits there for people individually for their own situation, that they do not have a house that's an investment property as a rental. They have it as an Airbnb. I'll give you an example of personally of what happened with me. I decided one time to look after a friend of a friend. For those who have been following our channel, you know that I have what you would call an investment property, but I have never negative geared it. If anything, I've positive geared it because it has never had a mortgage on it, and I only bought the home as an investment in the sense of it always goes up in value. I've never wanted to rent it out, and like I said, if something breaks in it, if a hot water system breaks on it, I don't use the negative gearing tax rort, and I'll call it a rort, to save on tax or anything, go buy that hot water system without tax and negative gear the house. I've never done that. If something breaks, I just replace it. As simple as that. I only look at the house overall as I bought it for X amount, say $1 million, and in 10 years time it might be worth 2 million, and then I'll sell it. That's the way I do it. So I did looked after somebody that needed a property, and it was in the area they needed, and I really looked after them. I could have got a hell of a lot more money rental per week out of it, but they were not in a financially good situation, so I looked after them. Well, didn't that bite me in the ass? I lost about $80,000 through to damage and rent not paid. And I gave them a chance. I gave them 6 months rent free. I also dropped the rental in COVID, and they were basically living there for about a good almost 1 year rent free, and it bit me in the ass. In the end, cost me $80,000. I will never ever do that again. That was a friend of a friend. I'll never ever do that here. The house stays locked, and that's my personal situation. So the Airbnbs, like I said, they make no impact, and they've tried this in the UK, a similar thing in the UK where people had spare rooms, so they come up with a spare room tax. Well, people found ways around that. Turn the spare room into an office. If you have a spare house, you turn it into an office. You get a relative to put it in their name. There's ways around that. The Airbnb side of it is not because of the supply, the demand, and immigration. They are the three main factors. We've got this problem right here, right now. Even CGT and the negative gearing has not made the main part of this problem what it is today. It's supply, demand, and bear with me on this one. I don't get where you're coming from with this comment. Okay, please forgive me. Whether I'm reading it wrong or not understanding it, that could be the problem. But QBDNASDQAQ, thanks for your comment, really appreciate it. Here we go. How come renters lose money to rents, but being a mortgage holder need a house to keep raising value? It's a two-parter. There's a little bit more to this comment, but I'll answer this part now. Well, unfortunately, renters lose money. You lose money being a renter. You either got to get out of that game, or if you're going to be a renter for life. I remember back in the 90s, some people even front being a renter. I had a few friends of mine that they didn't want to buy a house because of all the, looking after it, the rates. They didn't have to pay for water. They had a deal with their landlord that they didn't have to pay even electricity, and they were in front and they were earning really good money, and they didn't see the point, and they were happy renting. That ship has sailed now. Renting now is an extremely big part of most people's budget, and unfortunately, just like you said, how come renters lose money to rents? You're a renter, you're losing money. There's nothing I can do about that or say about that. It's just fact. But then the other part of it is, but being a mortgage holder need a house to keep raising value? Question mark. I'm not understanding that part of it, but I'll answer it as best as I think. Why would you be a mortgage holder and in the end of paying 10, 15, 20, 25 years of a mortgage, at the end of that mortgage, your house isn't worth more? What's the point of being a mortgage holder? And trust me, when you look at the $14 trillion market that is housing, you can't not have people having those long-term mortgages, and in the end, the investment of being mortgaging a home isn't going to benefit. You're not going to even double your money. What's the point? And then the whole country just crashes. The banks crash, like I've said in my video. Hate or love the banks, they are the backbone, and we're basically the nervous system, being mortgages, that keeps this country going, keeps it moving. So, that's why we need the house that you've mortgaged, that you've invested in, even though it's your actual prime property that you live in, needs to go up in value. It has to, because there's no point in getting a mortgage and the whole house of cards just comes crumbling down. So the second half of your, sorry about that, I had a bit of an issue with everything. Hope this mic's working too, but let's get it into the second half of that comment. You as a home buyer evaluate the market and decide if you want to pay 1M. I'm guessing that's 1 million. Any downturns, the risk is all on the home buyer and not the banks. 100% correct. The banks have got no problem. If you look at it from a banker's point of view, and if you ever were to have this type of interview, say a media had an interview with, say, a banker or a CEO of one of our major banks, they would look at it as like this: we didn't make as much money as we expected, right? Because someone has foreclosed on that mortgage, right? That's would be their argument. But then they just kicked the person out who's foreclosed, and they've still got the house. They still keep the house. So someone's paid, say, 10 years into a 25-year loan mortgage, and then they can't make the payments. Then yeah, they get kicked out. The bank takes the house, because the house is in their name, not the person who's paying it off, and they can go and resell the house. So yeah, they will always say that, well, we lost money. I know it's cruel. It's cruel, but that's the way they'll look at it. But 100%, it's all risk the home buyer. And it brings me back to that other point. We are taking a risk, okay? We are taking a risk if we get an investment property and we rent it out. The risk is that person's going to look after that house as it's their own. The risk is that that person's going to keep their job and pay the rent, because most investors who have got a second home as an investment property are mortgaged as well. So that's kind of the catch-22 when it comes to everybody's at risk except for the bank. So 100% correct. So yeah, I really appreciate everybody doing this. Okay, the comments mean a lot to me. Like I said, I want this channel for people to feel comfortable in agreeing or disagreeing with what I've got to say here, because it even helps me open up what I think is going to happen for my own situation. I love hearing people have got a different angle when it comes for what I've got to say, especially if they've been through it. It means a lot to me that you guys are responding and commenting, but it's really, really important to me that you feel safe. This is a place where whether you agree, whether you disagree, whether you want to tell me to go jump in the lake, please feel free to do that. Thanks everybody, appreciate those comments, keep them coming, and I'll try and do some different stuff as we go along with this channel. Thanks everybody, take care.